Okay, well, do you want to start off by giving an introduction to yourself and what you do, May?
Ooh, okay. I am a little nervous. I've never been on a podcast before, but so for everyone who is unaware of who I am, my name is May Shroomy VT. I'm an Elven Shroom Witch VTuber. Um, and I'm usually a variety game streamer, usually just playing things like sandbox simulators, base builders, RPGs, that sort of thing. But I'll play anything just at least once, except shooters. Don't ask me to play shooters.
I do know that because that's like I play a variety as well, but I remember us having a conversation where you can't do FPSs. And it's like, oh, I'm in my Fortnite, Marvel Rivals, Valorant phase.
Yeah, I know. It's like it hurts to say that because I know so many people, like so
Mm-hmm.
many friends who love like FPS like games and just I can't do it just because of the stress of it. It's just
Yeah.
like I physically after like even an hour or two of playing it, I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
have like no energy just because of how like stressed my body gets. It's
Yeah.
bad. So it's not more so like I hate like I don't want to learn how to play FPS shooters. It's just like my body physically cannot handle it for
Yeah.
whatever reason it is. It creates too much stress in my body, you know?
No, I get that. Well, and those kind of games are like, especially like if you're doing comp, it can be so nerve wracking. So I do, I do get that. Because even I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I cannot handle this game. This was my last one. The stress is too much. So I
Mhm.
get, I get it completely.
It's also just so overwhelming too with like all the stimulus, like all the sounds and then like all the visual like there's just so much going on. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't and my brain just kind of like hates it cuz even like when I was playing Payday 2 with my friends the other
Yeah.
day, I tried to like play it. I was screaming. Granted, people were enjoying the screaming, so I think
Yeah.
maybe that's why people like watching me play that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like at the end of it, like even though I had fun with friends, it was like I started to feel like I was
Mm-hmm.
just more dead weight than anything else, which is like
No,
the
that's the
worst
worst
feeling.
feeling. Especially, were you
And
streaming it? You said
I was streaming. Like
that's
no, I
even
don't think I
more.
was streaming it actually. But
Uh,
my friend was streaming it.
I see. So even more pressure because it's on camera.
Yeah, and it was just like it was the worst feeling just because it's like how do you kind of be entertaining if you don't even have the energy to do anything,
Yeah.
really?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't joke too much, all I just remember saying, like, "Sorry" constantly, and it was, like, the
Oh,
worst feeling.
yeah.
I hated feeling like dead weight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why maybe in the future, if there's one that's not nearly as stressful,
Yeah. If you can
perhaps I
find one
could be
that's
convinced.
not stressful. I feel like
I
it's
don't think
hard to
there is
get a
one.
non-stressful FP. I would like to see that too. It's
I
one to
do want
just chill.
cozy shooter.
Yeah, cozy. Dude, game developers need to get on that. Cozy shooter?
Mm,
Hello?
that would be hard. How would you even
I don't know.
conceptualize like a cozy shooter?
I've never played Slime Rancher, but I kind of almost imagine that where you like move the guys, I think, with a gun or something from the clips I've seen. Something where if the
Mm.
gun doesn't actually do like damage or I don't know. Like I think well,
Ooh, maybe like Splatoon. Actually, that
oh,
might maybe
Splatoon.
it is
Maybe
like
you just
Splatoon
need to play some Splatoon.
3v1. I was like, that sounds eerily similar to Splatoon. That might be what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
yeah. Maybe Splatoon is the FPS we need to play.
Mhm. Gotta figure out where to fucking play it, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just like a Nintendo game, isn't it? That's only Nintendo.
Ooh, yeah.
So,
I don't have a Switch or anything, so that's gonna
ooh,
be ooh.
yeah. I have a Switch, but I don't really want to be buying any more $60 Nintendo games. They're
I
too
know. Why are
expensive.
they so expensive?
Exactly. Well, and I know like the newer ones too they're making it's like getting upwards to $80. I'm like 60 was already too much, guys. It was too much.
Okay. So first of all, how is like Expedition 33 cheaper than
Mhm,
no games? What
mhm,
is
mhm.
this?
It's just it's the I don't know. It's just like a triple A gaming market. Like
Mhm.
Silk Song, people have been anticipating that for years, and they could have easily made it
Yeah.
be like a $40 game, and they made it
Mhm.
$20. So Nintendo could
Yeah.
easily, very easily do the same, but they just, it's just they want
Greedy.
money, yeah.
Mm.
Because
It's
people
like
will buy the
I
games no matter how much it costs too.
yeah, like all the Nintendo lovers, like
Mhm.
it's just I think nowadays most like game companies tend to do like they're reliant on their like past love for past titles that they've had, and so they think because they're the studio that made the titles that's so well beloved, they expect that sort of
Yeah.
reputation to carry through for their all their games. But
Mhm.
I do like that the sort of tide is shifting where people are a little more disillusioned with that,
Mhm.
and it's like, maybe we should question them a bit more. Maybe
Yeah.
we should turn towards like more indie stuff, which is why I'm like 30 Expedition 33, Baldur's Gate. Like I love that they fucking
Mhm.
won and gave the biggest middle finger to the gaming
Yeah.
industry because it's
Well,
like,
also Peak, like Peak was one of the biggest games, Peak and Repo. Like so much indie games got so
yeah.
much recognition this year.
Mhm.
That's
And
like,
then there's always going to be the people complaining where it's like
oh, always.
that year of like people were mad about Spider-Man not fucking winning over
Oh,
Baldur's
mhm.
Gate. Oh, so dumb.
Yeah, well, anytime there's an awards show or anything like that, there's always like people that are fans of the games going to be like, this should have won instead. It's a
Mhm.
nonstop. Props to people that, especially like the streamer awards too, or anything that has to do with like streamers too. I've seen people do
Yeah.
that and get like a bunch of hate towards that as well. Anyone that's able to put on an award show where the tensions are kind of high like that, I applaud them
Yeah.
because I I could never.
I know. It's like, how do you not feel stressed like it being pitted against like your fellow creators and just
Yeah.
like because I know in the space at the moment with like streamers specifically, there's like such a bad stigma, especially with like, I would it be wrong for me to call them flesh tubers? I know that's the name we usually say, but
Yeah,
like it
flesh
feels weird.
tubers or yeah, flesh tubers fine.
Mhm. It's just with like how like I don't know, their fan bases tend to be so rabid for some reason.
Yeah.
And so it's like it feels so much more parasocial than ever.
Mhm.
And it almost feels scary to win out over like people's favorite streamers because people and then like people take it almost like a personal offense. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing. And like w don't get me started on the whole VTuber thing of, like,
No.
people hating on them just for
Yeah.
fucking existing. Like, I remember I was watching this, like, clip of, like, Dog VA. He
Mhm.
was talking about, like, the streamer awards, and, like, he and Iron Mouse got, like, the duo nomination,
Yes.
and someone tweeted out, it's like, "Oh, this is, like, so unfair, like, Dog VA has friends within, like, the voting committee, it's so, like, unfair
Oh my
that, like,
gosh.
they win," and then his response was so funny to me because he's like, "Pass me what you're smoking," because the fuck? They didn't win.
Yeah, also, yeah, they didn't end up winning, but also, that's the thing, I applaud Cutie. I know this year had a lot of scuff with the streamer awards.
It was
It was
so
re
bad.
it
It was
was
worse than usual.
yeah, and I think that's to do with, like, this new year of streaming, because like you said, it's been more parasocial than ever, and, there's
Mhm.
been a lot more of an uprise of IRL streamers. And so
Yeah.
streamers streaming every day of their lives or like showing it around like IRL streaming like TwitchCon or anything else to where
Yeah.
it just elevates that parasocialism and like there's also just a lot more communities I think this year that are like meeting in a lot like cross communities.
Yeah, and then it, like, kinda blurs the lines of, what is okay and what's not, like,
Mhm.
even if you, like, establish your boundaries so well, there's always going to be
Mhm.
that, like, those few people who just tend to just do it anyways
Yeah,
just
they
because
don't care
they
about the
want to, like,
boundary.
they feel entitled.
Mhm.
Like, that whole thing with Emaru, I'd always had a fear with like, conventions, like, going to them, like, I
Mhm.
hate the crowds. I hate normal crowds as is, and I
Yeah.
fucking live in New York. There are
Oh.
crowds everywhere. You have to get used to being in a
Yeah.
crowd. But even then, it's like, I get, I can tolerate it because I have to.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't choose to go to a convention and be pushed around by sweaty ass people.
Yeah.
Granted, some of them are cool sweaty people that are dressed up really cool, but
Mhm.
like otherwise I would not choose to just go to it just because it would simply like it's just not enjoyable in my opinion. I
Yeah.
also cannot walk for very long. So it's like I would just be in pain by the end of the day, and it's like it's like it would take a lot
Yeah.
of convincing. Is what it is. But now more than ever, with especially with like the Emery situation and just like it's so scary
Mhm.
to just
It's just it's
even
a
like
scary world right now.
everything's going wrong, be scared.
Mhm. But
Bling.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say the TwitchCon thing. Like I was really sad that I couldn't go to TwitchCon, and then everything
Mm.
bad happened at TwitchCon. And I was like, maybe it was a good thing
Yeah.
after I didn't go.
Yeah, I'm glad, like, I'm glad to hear that, like, everyone who did go to TwitchCon within our circle was safe, like,
Yeah.
nothing bad happened to them, like,
Mhm.
that's, like, the biggest thing that, like, I was concerned about because I know Dork was going, and then
Yeah.
I just it was so scary to hear, especially what was going on with, like, Emaru and then all the
Mhm.
security issues, it's
Yeah.
just like, "Ooh," but thankfully, nothing happened. I
Yep.
hate that Emaru had to deal with that shit.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
just like, I think Twitch just needs to up their security. They keep apologizing, but they need to fucking do something about it.
yeah.
It's shit's
Well,
ass.
and it's already like it was done too. It's too little, too late because streamers like Cutie Cinderella and Valkyrie were already concerned and saying they weren't going to TwitchCon because of how like much tensions and stuff had been rising. And then they still
Yeah.
like they dropped the ball. Like they didn't let him. There was so
Yeah.
much that went wrong with it.
I know. Did you hear that like Emaru's like favorite her favorite security guard? They
Yes,
banned
yes.
him.
They
I was
because
like
he did
that.
his job too well last year,
I
being
know
too
they're like
pushy.
that's like what could possibly justify banning for doing your job? Like, imagine
Mhm.
you're a
Mhm.
diligent hard worker, and then you're like you do what was said on the tin, and then
Yeah.
you get fucking fired.
Yeah.
Like, make it make
Well,
sense.
then also, like, because they were just after that situation happened too, they were like pushing security on all the other streamers, which they should have security. But like there
Hmm.
was more of they were trying to do damage control because like FanFest was like I do not want security, I don't want it, and
Yeah.
she was still given like she had two guys, security guys, just following her around the whole con, which I think she should
Yeah.
have. But it was at the end of the day, it should also be the streamers' opinions and that you could tell Twitch was just kind of doing it as well for damage control with that
Yeah.
situation happening that never should have occurred in the first place.
It's like Emmy was asking for security, but they
Hmm.
chose not to give it to her. But then the people who don't want it are given like it's
Yeah,
so backwards.
yeah,
It's insane.
hmm,
Twitch fucking
yeah.
do something. Fix your shit. Piss me off.
Well, I'll ask you this. I didn't have it on my questions, but since we're talking about this, and do you think like with like Twitch being Twitch, do you see yourself
Mhm,
staying on the platform or like do you see or do they have to do more stuff to like have you leave? Because I know there's a lot of streamers were talking about that
mhm.
when when TwitchCon had happened about you know because they
I
do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, I am thinking of staying despite like what's going on. I think
Hmm.
I'm too small enough for them to even consider being an issue anyways.
Yeah.
And like my community is small enough where it's like it's not going to be fully affected. Like obviously with the shit with like lurkers and stuff, you
Yeah.
never know.
Hmm.
You like there's always gonna be some shit that happens where it's like it kind of
Yeah.
fucks over the smaller streamers. But at the end of the day, it's like for the most part, I don't feel like my safety's being like um sort of like compromised just because
Yeah.
they wouldn't like I'm not going to be considered important enough, which is both a double-sided blade where it's like I fly under the radar. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna like have too many issues. But at the same time, if I'm going to need help, it's just like I will not get the same help like as someone who is much larger than I am.
Yeah.
So I would say I am gonna stay on Twitch. I am thinking of YouTube, but I do know it is much harder to grow on
Yeah.
YouTube. Like from what I've heard from like people who have multi-streamed and stuff, it's like it's
Hmm.
much harder to garner an audience on YouTube just because people are more expectant of like produced videos rather
Hmm.
than like streaming because it's not like what it's marketed for. It's not what it was originally intended for.
Hmm.
And even then, like for people who do stream on there, it's like you're you're kind of limited in a sense. Like I heard that if you don't reach like a certain amount of like you can only have a certain amount of like viewers before it kind of cuts you off. And I don't know if that's true. Like correct me if I'm wrong in like the comments if people know better. Um but I think
Yeah.
it's basically Twitch is better for growing,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't say I support Twitch overall as like a like as an entity.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
any oh, sorry, not to interrupt you.
No, 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 you're good. You're good. Continue.
No. Um, I was gonna say, yeah, I always love hearing people's answers about it because I think every platform is going to have its pros and cons, its controversies and stuff. So I always like when when this topic gets brought up, the like hearing
Yeah.
people's things on it because I think a lot of Twitch streamers and stuff too, especially are like aware and are like Twitch. This is not cool, but
Mhm.
Twitch is like the best in live streaming, unfortunately, and with
Yeah.
like there's not really any big competition that's better. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it's
Kick, but Kick is
I I don't know if we would consider that better, but, like, I feel like that's, like, the Twitch for criminals, but, like,
yeah, literally
it's just,
like that's even
uh
worse somehow.
yeah, it's just I think the problem is that, like, Twitch was such a, like, pioneer within the streaming
Mhm.
space. It was, like, one of the big giants of, like, not just streaming, like, social platforms in general,
Mhm.
like, whereas YouTube was, like, for posting videos for you to
Yeah,
be a
they were the
creative.
pioneer in that.
Mhm, like, so like, they are the ones for videos, whereas,
Yeah.
like, Twitch is synonymous with streaming. It's just it's so hard to detach from it, and
Mhm.
so people trying to compete and, like, make a competitive market for that sort of thing is, like it's
It's
difficult to
hard,
kind of
yeah.
tear away from that sort of, like, giant because, like, how do you topple a monopoly when
Yeah.
people like, there are millions of people that stream on here and, like, they still stream regardless of how many views they get, like, how
Mhm.
like, just because they know at some point, like, this is where people will go for streaming.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go to, like, some smaller platform, like, regardless on if there's less competition for people for viewership, but it's not going to be nearly as like, have nearly as much reach as, like, Twitch, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. I was gonna say,
So,
I think the
it's
closest
difficult.
might have been Mixer back in the before it got shut down. I think that was the closest to maybe a real
Mhm.
competition that Twitch might have had.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like, maybe Facebook, but even then, it's like, that one feels more for, like, the
The boomers,
moms.
yeah. I could say I
Yeah.
know Facebook Live I don't know if it still exists. I know it did exist, but
Mhm.
I've never used Facebook Live in my life to know anything about it.
Yeah. I fear if I was on there, I would stumble upon my mom, and I do not want
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah, that's like where, like, my racist hometown is. So
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be a
It's
good
not
place.
not safe space, not safe
Yeah.
space. Oh my
Yeah.
god, but I do hope there might be a competitor at some point. I did see, like, there is, like, this platform for, like, VTubers specifically. I'm not too sure what it's
Yeah.
called, but I saw some talk about it where, like,
Mhm.
people are, like, um, doing streams on there specifically,
I believe
and
what you're referring to is Irium?
yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. So
Yes.
I do see some sort of like market for it. I think mostly for VTubers, just because people like
Yeah.
it's VTubing is like such a unique niche within like
Yes.
streaming as a whole because it's like it's faceless but not really.
Mhm.
It's like a unique sort of art form where it's like people like can be interactive with like someone without being fully parasocial in that aspect where like they don't have to
Yeah.
like show their face, like, they can just show windows into their life without fully, you know, exposing who they are.
Yeah.
Um, and it gives way for, like, unique creative, like, expression, which I really do love. It's, like,
Yeah.
almost like clothing, like fashion in general. Like,
Mhm.
I'm such a lover of, like, fashion. I'm not the most fashionably, like, dressed just because I'm too broke for some stuff, but, like, I love fashion history. I love, like, the influence it has on culture, and, like, I think VTubing is almost like an extension of fashion in of itself for, like,
Mhm.
people who might be, like, disabled, they can't necessarily go out. For people who are like socially anxious, they can be more expressive of themselves, like their interests, and like for anyone who just simply wants to create online without the pressure of having to show their face to be completely done up. It's like
Mhm.
um it's a way of showing who you are through like another art form, I feel. And it's so beautiful, and I think it's so overlooked oftentimes just because like it's weird for like the normal person to kind of view, like, how can you ever get attached to this like a sort of like cartoon character on a screen? But like
Mhm.
people forget, like, art moves people. And so when art has like a personality that like makes like you naturally gravitate towards something you might like connect with. And like I think having that sort of separate platform allows people to feel more comfortable being like expressing their love for VTubers without the stigma that Twitch often comes with, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So, and I do think that's beautiful. I hope maybe it does takes off a little bit more, and like we can see more like interest in it in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I do like I think VTubing it's such a wide range at this like you can set as much boundaries or as little boundaries as you want because it's just ever changing. Like some people do face cam or like post pictures on Twitter of their real life, but also have the
Mhm.
VTuber. It is just like an extension of themselves, or like if they want it to be more like not like they want to be fully in the character that they want like,
Mhm.
I like once in a while doing like the like lore with my like little character, and I can do that. I can tell a story, but then I also like I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, let me just post a pic. Let me just break that illusion
Yeah.
real quick. I think that's wonderful that
Mhm.
VTubing allows that. I know there's always like once in a while on Twitter, I'll see that little controversy of like, oh, VTubers are like breaking the boundary. I'm like, well, it's changing. Art changes. People relate
Mhm.
to art, people relate to you. Like it's a streaming. It's going to be like you showing yourself. Streaming's always been like
Yeah.
you showing you're putting on for an audience and like, you're relating to an
Yeah.
audience,
And I do think it's like I I think people are just so averse to change just because
Mhm.
it almost like breaks the illusion for
Yeah.
some people. Like for those who are just much more inclined to being parasocial, I think is what it is. Where it's
Yeah.
like they kind of like it almost breaks the illusion of like if you don't look exactly like your VTuber, like God forbid you're a fucking furry and
Oh.
you're not covered in fur. And then people are like, ugh, like like you're not a furry. Ugh. Ugh.
You're not
It's
like a
like
dragon in real life. What the heck?
like, how dare you break my illusion?
Yeah. Well,
I
and
don't.
also, but people, you can find that. Like, there are people that stick, like, they have that set boundary where they only stick as their, like, VTuber role. Or you can find, like, Idol
Yeah.
Corp, like, stuff where
Mm,
people are all different. There are different people that do different things. You can find the people that you like if you're into that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
so it's always just a discourse I hear when it comes to
Hmm.
VTubing and streaming in general. There's always a whole bunch of discourse no matter what.
I know, and I think the biggest thing people tend to forget when it comes to this space is just if you don't like it, you can just walk away. It's
I
not you're
think
not
that's the hard
like
thing
you're
of
not
the internet
obliged.
now.
Yeah, it's
Is
like you're not obliged to stick around. Like just because you see them on your like feed, like you see them on your like recommended page, if you don't end up liking their like stuff, you can scroll away,
exactly, yeah.
go about your day. That's it. That's as simple as just like, hey, like, ooh, like I don't really like it. So I'm just like, I'm gonna scroll. And
Yeah.
then, move on. And then you end up finding someone fantastic. I'm more than happy for people who like prefer more like the idol culture of like
Yeah.
having that separate persona versus like those who are more of an extension per se. Um, but I do think people have such a tendency to fixate when
Yeah.
it comes to that sort of thing where it's like they see what's in front of them and they can't comprehend that they can just simply disconnect like by just moving on. They
Mhm.
can like they can just like scroll and then they can just, or you know what? There's a wonderful thing, an option of do not recommend.
Yeah.
And you don't have to see any of their shit anymore. You can block if you feel so inclined.
Yeah.
That seems a little excessive, but that's like there are
You
multiple
can
ways
choose
of
not
just
to interact with it, and
exactly.
that's something I think the internet is it's so much more of like a volatile space where everyone feels like they need to say something about anything, especially because it gets likes, it gets attention. Hate gets attention now, to where rather than
Mm,
ignoring or like not the old concept of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. They're just ignoring
yeah.
that just completely when it comes to like VTubers or streaming culture in general.
Yeah. And I think it's such a shame just because
Mhm.
there's already like so much negativity in the
Yeah.
world. It's just there's so much happening where it's like people are just there's so much fuck shit happening. Not just like outside of like streaming, but in streaming too, where people
Yeah.
are like exploiting others for the sake of like likes and clicks. And the
Mhm.
fact that people cannot fathom that, like, it's better to just be kind and walk away, or, like, even if you're not feeling kind that day and you feel like you're about to say something mean,
Just
just
walk
choose
away.
to walk away.
Mhm.
There's no harm in it, doesn't affect you at the end of the day, like, it doesn't like, it's not gonna make you feel better. If anything, I feel like it makes people feel worse, and that's why they choose to spit vitriol anyways, because
Yeah.
that's, like, their only means of outlet, and, there is a thing called therapy.
Yeah.
Um, there are hotlines as well if you cannot afford therapy, because I know therapy can be expensive now.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
are hotlines, there's multiple, like, forums for that sort of thing where it's like people will actively give, like, free resources for
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Um, and people just like, I think it also goes in line with, like, lack of media literacy for some people where they
Yeah.
just forget that they have resources on hand that they can just choose to search up,
Yeah.
but they choose not to. They, like, choose to kind of see what's in front of them and then, like,
Mhm.
say what's on their mind without, like,
Not
considering
looking in
how to,
it
like
further or anything.
mhm. Or, like, even filtering themselves, like, people lack a filter too sometimes. It's, like, funny if you see someone, like, shit posting and
Yeah.
stuff, it's like but then there are moments where it's, like, people who are genuinely, like, they lack that sort of social filter where they don't, like, comprehend that their words do have weight,
Mhm.
and so it's, like and then you see
Yeah.
people who then start to feel bad about, like, if potentially, like, God forbid, something happens to somebody where their words do get taken to heart,
Yeah.
and it leads to something tragic. Only
Mhm.
then, like, they start apologizing, but it's like, you could have prevented this in the first place if you just
Yeah.
chose not to be a shitty person.
Mhm.
It's so, like it's such a weird, like, thing where we have so much information and knowledge at our fingertips, like, we are in an age where there's so much at our hands at, like, the press of a button, and people still, like I think ignorance is at a fairly like, an alarmingly
Yeah.
high sort of rate of, like, just people choosing to stay ignorant, choosing to not search things up, to educate themselves, to be
Yeah.
better overall, and when at a time where we are like, we should be, like, very knowledgeable, very socially aware as people, when we're so interconnected with each
Mhm.
other, but I feel like we've regressed in some way, which is so strange to me.
I think it also just comes from having like as humans as well, we were not meant to like have all this overwhelming information at our fingertips too, where I think the internet
Mhm.
can just be overwhelming to a point where it's
Mhm.
like, oh, this this random thing popped up on my thing. It must be true, because I've seen a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other stuff that was true, but like, you know,
Yeah,
it's too
Facebook.
hard to yeah, Facebook literally. And then also with the rise of like AI videos and AI stuff, that also just doesn't help and spread like false information and not having the due diligence of like looking up or trying to find the actual sources is at an
Mhm.
all-time high where it also the internet's scary.
Yeah. It is scary,
Mhm.
and, people ignoring the fact that, Terminator was a movie that was warning against this, and here
Yeah.
we are, fucking ignore it anyways.
No.
Sometimes I wonder, are we really as smart as a species as we really say we are?
We're
I know
not.
we are, but, like,
No.
there are times where I'm just like, "Damn,
It's
I wonder if
hard.
an alien's gonna come up and, like, think, 'Damn, they're dumb as bricks.'"
Yeah. Well, I also was just like in the future when we're like when we look back at this time of like all of this chaos and stuff happening, or in like a repetition of like past, like us kind of falling into a repeat of history, it seems like sometimes, where it's gonna be like, man, why did we do that? Like, why
Mhm.
were we all doing this?
Yeah. It's just I also think that's why history is so important.
Mhm.
Like I I guess maybe I'm just biased just because I'm a huge lover of history
Yeah.
overall. Like I growing up history was my favorite subject in school. I had a huge love for mythology and like the way it connected with cultures,
Yeah.
how it like influenced like things that we wouldn't even consider to be like logical today
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. I'm gonna yammer too long if I keep on it,
No,
but
you're perfectly fine.
history like, history overall, I think, is such an important thing to teach, like, people, like, especially, like, younger generations, just because
Yeah.
if we don't know, like, our past, how will we know, like, what to avoid in the future?
Exactly, yeah.
What to take from our ancestors, like, what positive things to take from our ancestors? Because there are plenty of positives our ancestors have, like, cultivated, they pioneered, things that have made things so much easier for us, but also they've made so many mistakes, so many atrocities were committed that are being repeated today that people
Mhm.
choose to ignore.
Yep.
It's like and it's unfortunate to see that, like, people have such a lack of knowledge for certain, um, historical events that, like, they think it's in some distant past, but,
Yeah. It's really
like, people
not.
for it's not, like, people often have, like, this sort of preconceived notion of, like, history. It's like, it's something that's, like, in the olden times.
Yeah.
It's just the f but p like, racism is far rampant even
Mhm.
today, but it's like Jim Crow laws, like slavery, that was hundreds of years ago. That wasn't centuries ago.
Yeah.
It is something that is still very relevant today
Yeah.
in just different forms. And I love this quote that I saw in like a video. I cannot remember what it
Mhm.
was, but it's a quote that's always stuck with me. It's like history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. Where it's
Mhm.
like it history is something that, like, there are patterns that show where it's not always going to be the exact same,
Yeah.
but there is some similarities to it where it's like we have stepped into, like, something wrong in a way. And it's similar enough where it should raise alarms, but people often don't clock
Yeah.
it because they don't give time to think and consider that, like, this is repeating like a scary time in history where
Yeah.
we should reconsider, is this something, this is this the path we should be on, if this is what we want for our history books for our children to know what
Mhm.
happened. Like,
Yeah.
it's so unfortunate that, like, because I remember history being looked down upon when I was going in school. Like, people just weren't interested in it. Like, it got, like, funding got cut for like history teachers, people
Oh
weren't
man,
hiring them
yeah.
nearly as much.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate because I do want to go back to school for being like a history teacher,
Yeah.
just because I want people to realize how, like, it's not only like a fun subject because you get to learn about other people, their cultures, you can expand your horizons, but it's also like, I like to think of history as a giant storybook
Yeah.
where it's the story of humanity
Mhm.
as a species, like the things that we've done wrong. It has lessons like fables where we can learn from our mistakes. It has fun stories, action adventures, stories of people larger than life. It's history, I think, is just an amalgamation of so many different types of stories,
Yeah.
and I think it's so beautiful, but at the same time so overlooked because it's linked to reality, and
Yeah.
reality isn't always going to be, like, wrapped up in a neat bow.
Yeah. What
Like,
we like.
yeah, it's not pretty, it's not clean, it's messy, and
Mhm.
we enjoy it in our fictional books, but we choose to sometimes ignore it in our, like,
Yeah.
reality. And I think it's such a shame just because history, the story of us as humans is, like, beautiful, even in its messy glory, and it's like it it's something that we need to remember, I feel, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you. And I think I know this isn't kind of like we're going away from like the questions and all that, but I really love this topic. We will get back to the questions. I love this though. But, like, I do
Mhm.
think, like, people forget, like, racism and stuff also just didn't end, like, when we got rid of, like, the laws or, like, the slavery, like, it still existed,
Mhm.
like, people aren't just like, "Oh, we're cool now." Like, no, it's just
Yeah.
ongoing, it's
Mhm. It's,
it's
like,
unfortunately a part
systematic.
of the culture systematically, it's been forced kind of in and still, like, maintained over the
Mhm.
years, and it just comes in
Yeah,
different
and
forms, you know?
mhm, it almost feels more insidious nowadays just because it comes in, like, microaggressions,
Yes.
and there's this intersectionality of, like, all of these kind of, aspects of not just racism, but it also comes in line with, like, classism as well,
Yes.
and, like, gender norms, and, like, people often forget that, like, there are nuances to these sort of topics where, like, class goes in hand with racism as well. Oftentimes,
Mhm.
we see people, like, who are colored, unfortunately, tend to be, like, tend to be part of like the lower class, and then that sort of diminishes them even further to the point where it's like harder
Yeah.
for them to socially climb this unfortunately ever growing gap within like the
Yeah.
like social economic classes that we've like
Mhm.
established today. And it's something that like people need to understand that like in order to remedy problems we need to consider all of the different different
Yeah.
sort of facets to the issue. It's not just like if we acknowledge everyone and like think everyone as equal, I think that's a wrong way to approach things. I think we need equity rather than equality,
Yeah.
which is a thing that people forget is a thing. Equity is when you kind of um take into like different factors to make things more like fair for everyone.
Yeah.
'Cause not everyone like, just because you're equal doesn't mean it's going to be the same for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, like, something that's functional for everybody, like, I saw this cartoon that is, like, such a wonderful sort of, like, analogy for this, and it's, like, a very good visual representation of it, where it's, like, you there are people of, like, 3 different heights, right? Trying to
Mhm.
look over a fence.
Yeah.
Someone who's taller, they look over just fine. Someone who is slightly more average height, they can't see, but they can maybe see if they tiptoe, and
Yeah.
someone who's very short, maybe a child, maybe someone with like, a little person, perhaps, they cannot see despite how many like they tiptoe.
Yeah.
But if you give them the means to kind of be at the same level, then everyone can see eye to eye. They can see like just as clearly over the
Mhm.
fence. And that doesn't mean they are given the same resources.
Yeah.
It just means they are given the means to thrive. It just means it's going to be different for everyone. And
Yeah.
that's such a idealistic dream. I know that's not going to be something
Yeah.
that happens overnight. And it's going to be difficult to implement something because everyone's needs are different. Every human is
Mhm.
unique and different. But if we strive for something that is equitable for everybody, I think we can strive towards like a future where it's like it's a little less, you know, um divided, let's just say.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree
Mhm.
completely with that and what you said. Like that is like kind of the belief I've always kind of held as well is that we need more equity and have more resources for the people that need it. And
Mhm.
we need to figure out a way to all strive together rather than, you know,
Yeah.
dividing
Like,
each other.
fight.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sorry, I just, like, sidetracked everything
No, you're
so
perfectly fine. This is no, no, no. No, you're so good because I love this topic. This is probably
Mhm.
yeah. So you're perfectly fine. And but it does tell a lot about like streaming and it's like going into history and like just all the tensions. Everything's all connected with what we do and like, why we do
Mhm.
things to where I think it is important to bring up just in
Ye
general.
Mhm. But I don't know. I sometimes like, I know I can be a stinky degenerate sometimes
Yeah.
where it's like, because I grew up on the internet, of course, that's
Yeah.
gonna be, like, the default, but, like, I often have these thoughts, and it's, like, it's difficult for me to kind of express these sometimes just because some people like, I often am also very uncomfortable with, like, politics overall just because it's, like, the state of everything, it's like
Everything's rough right now.
mhm. So it's like it's difficult to talk about like politics without feeling like it's going to like I feel I know myself.
Yeah.
I will take it way too personally. I will
Mhm.
take it like far too like take it way too far. I will
I'm
not like be able to separate just because it's something that I do hold close to my heart, like
yeah.
these sort of issues, and it's something that it's so hard to separate, even though
Yeah.
it's important to separate in order to have these conversations. But it is nice to like discuss it every now and then, like on like a lighthearted, even scale
Yeah.
of just like yeah, we can acknowledge this and be civil about it instead of, some people.
Yeah,
We
I
can
think it's
discuss it.
important. We need like obviously those things need to be communicated, but it's hard, especially because people are not. It's so much easier to be like closed minded and stick to your ideals than open up and change
Mhm.
too. So where I
Yeah.
think I think it is important to talk about though, and it's important to like
Mhm.
get it out there.
Yeah, like, I do wanna talk about it, but I don't wanna feel like I have to educate someone
Yeah,
just
that's
because
also the
they
thing.
feel it's like, how do you educate someone who is already set in their ways? Like,
Mhm.
it would have to take, I think, more than discussions. People often forget it's not like, a simple debate and discussion is not
Yeah,
gonna change a person's mind overnight. It's often something that's done
actions
over
and
years.
yeah,
Yeah, like, like, research, like, active like sort of participation in trying to sort of shift your mindset into something
yeah.
different. It's
Yeah.
difficult to
And
change.
people
So
have to be open to changing too. If they're not open to changing or hearing anything at all, then it's
yeah.
nothing's gonna happen. You have to be willing to change and to want to better yourself and to want to, help the people around
Hmm.
you.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna have a debate with you if you're just there to argue. That's it. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
like there's no point in it because then at that point you're just simply arguing for the sake of arguing,
Yeah,
which I think is
not
so
helpful.
unproductive.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what the space has just turned into a little bit with like people hating on VTubers too as not being open minded. Just to bring it back to, you know,
Hmm.
everything. Streaming has become
Yeah.
that kind of space and kind of front and center where arguing gets a lot of attention. Like it doesn't solve anything, but it gets a lot of attention.
It does, and it's so unfortunate just because there's so many, like, people who are, like, talented in that aspect and that, like, of just they wanna have those conversations, but it's difficult for, like, other people to
Mhm.
kind of comprehend of, like, like, you don't have to be right, is what it is,
Mhm.
you know?
And you
I
can
think
be
people
wrong. People also don't want to
Mhm.
admit when they're wrong too. It's like a sense of pride.
Yeah.
But people are wrong all the time.
Mhm, yeah, it's like, "Hey, as long as you're taking it with grace, that's fine. It can hurt to be wrong. I
Yeah.
know it because I can be wrong sometimes. That shit fucking sucks. I don't like being wrong. But,
Yeah.
like, hey, you don't gotta be, like, throwing slurs at me
Yeah.
for, like,
No,
if you
oh my
hate being
goodness.
wrong, like, there's a
Yeah.
difference. You can hate
No.
being wrong and not be a piece of shit. I think
I,
you can, like there are 2 things that you can do, like, 2 things can be true at the same time. You can be a piece of shit and be a sore loser.
yeah. Dude, I know when I'm wrong a lot. Like me and my lovely girlfriend Murph, like we'll get into like maybe like more like funny arguments about something, being like, no, it was this, no, it was that, and then as like Murph's arguing her point, I'm like, oh, I'm actually so in the wrong. But I don't want to admit it. But I'm like, yeah, I was
Mhm.
kind of wrong there.
Yeah,
Eventually,
it's
I admit
difficult.
it, but I'm like, no. I immediately want to be
Mhm.
nope.
Yeah, and then you come afterwards when you feel a little calmer and you're just like, "So maybe you had a point."
Maybe you did have a point after all. Maybe I should have been
Mhm.
listening just a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's okay. Sometimes if at least you can admit it.
Yeah.
Like some people sometimes don't take that space to
Yeah.
consider it. Like I'm the same way where it's like I have a hard time being confrontational. But
Mhm.
when confrontation does happen, it's difficult for me to sometimes accept it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like hard. But if I take some time to kind of consider, if I like get the time and space to process, then it's like, yeah, I do get what you're saying. This shit sucks
Yeah.
ass. I hate that you're right, but I get what you're saying.
I get
And
your
I
point of
understand.
view.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's a trade-off, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So moving back on, to getting more about you with streaming, we're gonna circle ourselves back around.
Mhm. Turn the train around.
Yep. Um. So you your name's May Shroomy on Twitch and on socials. How did you come up with the name May and your whole theme?
So it's a bit of a two-part thing. So May comes from like uh it's like a riff off of my like online name that I've used for years. So people originally called me Mari, which is Mari. So
Hmm.
Mari is how I originally like people would officially call me because it was like a nickname of my real name, like my
Yeah.
real first name. But then as like I started playing games and stuff, I didn't want like I wanted to keep Mari separate for like personal friends.
Yeah.
And so I started to kind of like shift it a little so it's like similar but not the same. But
Yeah.
like,
You
so
can see how you got there.
so like I ended up just adding an E in the middle. So it's like Mary. Like it's
Hmm.
similar to how like my real name is, but not like close enough where it's like the nickname. Um
Yeah.
so I just had Mary just because, like, I also loved adding AE to names just because I thought
Yeah.
this looks cool. It looks fantasy like. I'm a fucking shill for that shit. So it's
Hmm.
like I did that, and then eventually people would start calling me May, and then like it kind of shifted from there where it's like I thought, hey, maybe I can add a bit of myself into my name, so I added the May instead of Mary, and then the shroom part is where I was playing Cobblemon with my friends for the
Hmm.
first time, and I decided to make this like mushroom house because I love building in general in
Yeah.
Minecraft. I love base building overall,
I
and I
also live
mean,
building Minecraft houses. That's I
mhm.
do that and then I stop playing the game.
Yes, like
Hmm.
that's the end game right there. It's not beating the Ender Dragon; it's building your
Yeah,
house.
exactly.
And so I was building a mushroom house, and then at like it was around the time I had reconnected with Luna actually, who had been
Hmm.
like a longtime friend of mine from like the internet that I'd like actually met up with, like I'd spoken with, hung out with in real
Hmm.
like in person. And we had disconnected over the years, over like some like personal issues. But
Yeah.
we reconnected over some unfortunate circumstances and like but all the same I decided to contact her to like just to catch up, make sure she was okay.
Yeah.
And then I like I we just kind of talked about stuff and it got to the topic of like how are you doing, like what do you want to like anything new going on. And I just like it was I was just a regular old person. I just graduated into a degree that I didn't want, um, that,
Hmm.
like, I ended up not liking, and I was
Oh.
just like, I really did wanna, like I've always had this dream of, like, streaming,
Yeah.
of not necessarily even streaming, just content creation overall. Like, I'd always loved being a creative person, but I never snatched the opportunity to be, like, into music because I sang, like, I sang a lot for, like, church
You're a good
and,
singer.
like
I remember when you did
Thank
karaoke with us.
thank you. Oh my god, I hated it because I thought I did shit.
No, you did
Like,
so good. You popped off. Don't even stress.
thanks. I was very nervous in that stream, but like I never got into music fully.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I'd never fully committed to it, just almost out of fear. And
Hmm.
like my parents were always more of like you gotta be practical with your
Yeah.
stuff. So I never fully dreamed of like going into the creative space, even though I'd always had such a love and passion for it, whether it was like writing
Hmm.
for like music. So I never did songwriting. I just stuck to writing in my journals. I did that until eventually I kind of like stopped overall. Like
Yeah.
it almost like I stopped dreaming. But then
Oh.
it was like after talking with like Luna and like kind of hearing that she went into streaming, I kind of told her that's like so cool. I wish I got into streaming, like streaming or something like that. I thought it was like really cool. And then she suggested I should try it just to see.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck do I even start? Like where do I even go with like I don't want to show my face or anything. And she suggested VTubing.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay, that'd be cool. Like, and then she told me, like, you gotta have like, some people have concepts, and I was like, I like writing. I'll come up with a concept. And so then it goes circles back to like when I was doing Cobblemon. It was like around that period. And then I looked at my house and I was just like, maybe a mushroom theme would work. I think that'd be
Yeah.
cute. And so I tried to think of like puns to kind of be like, what would be a cool name that would stick? And so I just thought, okay, like Mari shroom, no, yeah, and then May shroom because I was like, it kind of sounds similar to
Yeah.
mushroom, and then I was like, you know what, I'll do that. I can try it, and like I don't have, it's not necessarily out of love for like mushrooms, although I do have a fascination with them. It's not that I
Mhm.
don't, but it's not like I have like. It's not like where I have that love for history. I have that love for,
Yeah.
it was more so just like happenstance, I suppose, where it's like I was building a mushroom house.
Mhm.
That's what like while I was thinking up of Nate like cool potential concepts, I was playing Minecraft at the time,
Yeah.
and then the mushroom house was just right there, and I was like, that could be a
It's
thing.
yeah.
It
Well,
starts with an M.
I don't it like fits the whole aesthetic though, like your like the mainstream, like all of your concepts, like I can see you as like the history, like it somehow it all connects. I feel like in my head, like it
Ooh.
suits you so well. I think your concept and everything. I
Aw.
do fully think that that is you. You know?
Thanks. There are moments where it's like I do think like am I suitable as this character? Like does it fit me as a person? There's like those moments where it's like damn, like I love my concept but at the same time I'm seeing other cool concepts that are
Yeah.
getting like more like traction. It's like should I have done something
Mhm.
in that similar like space where it's like you see cat girls, you see
Yeah.
like all the cool fucking dragons, like wizards, witches,
Yeah.
and I am a witch, of course, but it's not like, the more flashy stuff of like the celestials, the fire mages,
Yeah.
the ice mages. It's like it's something more low key, like grounded
Yeah.
in nature. And so there have been moments where I have like kind of considered like, am I am I going to like fit in to the space the way that like some people do? They kind of sort of slot in perfectly where it's like more common to see, but it's also flashier, more
Yeah.
noticeable. And I've had those moments of doubt of like, should I change? Should I rebrand like I've seen some people do? But like
Yeah.
I have such a like sort of soft spot for like my concept now just because both I do have a love for like nature and fantasy overall, and like I am writing lore
Yeah.
like extensive lore for what my character is, and it almost feels like I'm writing a D&D character. I think
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the basis is for like me writing this like the lore for my character.
Mhm.
It reads more like D&D rather than like a concept art. Like concept of like a
Mhm.
VTuber because it's
Yeah.
not linked to like some people where they're like, "Oh, I found this like, this world where I can interact with these people." It's like, no, it's just my character is a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
The streamer just happens to be taking on the Grove Keeper. That's it.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah.
like she has the face, but the lore's different. Um,
Exactly.
and it's like I think slowly like there is going to be those moments of doubt that I think I'm going to have for a
Yeah.
while just because it's like it's not official. It's like I can always change. I'm still using pre-mades, and even though I have like art, I know people have rebranded before.
Yeah.
Um but it's something that I'm trying to like kind of grapple with, I think identity-wise, just
Mhm.
cuz it's like does it feel like me, or am I just kind of being swayed by seeing cooler
Yeah.
people and people who are like much bigger than me? Like, it's almost like that FOMO of like, "Man, that would have been so cool for art." It's like so like some people are just not like that interested in mushrooms like that. Like, would that make things better for me, easier?
Yeah.
But no, it's like I don't think I should go for something easier, but I think I should
Yeah.
go for something that's more me, you know?
I think that's what's important. I don't think obviously people the algorithm also just picks up on like, you know, different things. Like you know, people can grow from whatever. I think what's
Mhm.
most important is to find something that you're happy with most of all with it when it comes to
Mhm.
like your character and your concept.
Yeah.
Um I think that's number one. And then cuz if you're not happy, then you're going to, you know, you're going to want to rebrand, you know, because you're not happy with
Mhm.
the character, whatever you decide to do. So I think figuring out like what you want as your identity, whether it is like, you know, the concept you
Mhm.
have now, or if you scrap it and do something else, but just it's important just to make sure that you have that you have the enjoyment from that character. Because people will
Mhm.
find you and find stuff that and you like that enjoy you for you and enjoy your character for what it
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
Because the internet's so
And
wide and big that
it
there's
is.
an audience for anything. I think that's
Yeah,
something
and
important to remember.
mhm, I think it's so interesting though, like having been in this space for a little bit now, like about half a year now at this point.
Mhm.
Um and like finding like a community of like people who are like mushroom themed. I'm like
Yeah.
there's a lot more than I expected.
Mhm.
Um a lot more maze that are mushroom themed than I had anticipated, but it's fun to
Yeah.
like see that. And also just like the fact that people still like it's, people have gravitated towards me and they've stuck around not just because of like the mushroom because obviously with my model you see it, it's like there's no mushrooms to be had, like, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I like the mushroom hat that would indicate that, I
Yeah.
am mushroom themed, but people still chose to stuck around like because they thought like, I'm interesting, and I think
Yeah.
there's something beautiful about it, and like something I'm so grateful for that like people have decided to stick around because they
Yeah.
find they find some sort of connection or they feel comfortable around me to kind of just be like, I'm gonna kind of watch them every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's something so important and so valuable too is like people will stick around. I think people think and a part of the reason that's like scary for rebranding too, like I had a friend that like they got big with their name's Smitten Seraph. They got big on like their cat VTuber and they were like, but
Mm,
I want to rebrand into something that feels more like me. And they were really
mhm.
like worried about doing it, but their community also was like pushing them to, like be you, like we're gonna stick around, throughout
Mhm.
the change, and they changed, and you can tell they're so much happier with the model that I think feels and represents more them. So people, yeah.
Aw.
So it's really awesome to see people stick around. People, you
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah, like, people are kinder than sometimes we give them
yeah,
credit for, and I do like that like, with, how like, because I'm not the best gamer.
yeah,
I've already iterated this with, like, minutes ago, but, like, or a couple minutes ago, I don't know, fucking know. It's like, I'm not someone who is, like, a speedrunner, I'm not someone who is, like, a pro gamer. I'm very below average, I would say, like,
me
very
too.
mid. Like, I just I'm someone who is much more like, I prefer slower narrative-related games, like,
Mhm.
and it shows in like the stuff that I play. I love visual novels. I love um RPGs, turn-based RPGs
Yeah.
specifically. Um and those of the like where it's like it's a very strong story narrative,
Yeah.
and like I never got into Souls like just because it's like it feels directionless for me. And
Yeah.
some people like that. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Because I need that sort of like next objective. Otherwise I feel aimless.
Mhm.
Um and so, like, for people to stick around, they see that, like, even though I'm not, like, the most perfect gamer out there, they find the different stuff that they enjoy about me, which I feel, like, a lot more confident about
Yeah.
myself in that aspect of, like, before I used to be much more insecure about my laugh, actually. Um, and people seem to enjoy it.
She
Same
said,
with,
"Your
like, the
laugh is
way
amazing. I love your laugh."
Thank you. I It used to be something that I get very insecure about, like, and every
Mhm.
now and then I still do. Like, when I laugh sometimes around family, like, um, they sometimes find it a little weird just because 'cause I've never laughed like that around them before, and so
Mhm.
they often think it's weird or almost fake.
Oh
But
my,
for
yeah.
me, it's like for me, I think I'm getting more comfortable showing the stuff that I'm insecure
Yeah.
about, and it's like sometimes that insecurity still creeps in, but I'm always being shown like such an amazing amount of love for like
Yeah.
people like who are within my community and also outside of it, like friends who are within the space. Um and I think it's like so nice to see that like people aren't sticking around for like the character but for me as a person.
Yeah.
And it's something that I do cherish like quite a lot, and I try to like iterate that within like sometimes my announcements,
Yeah.
and the way that like I interact with people, and I do hope it shows.
It does for
But
sure.
oh, thanks. I'm someone who I lack a lot of self-esteem. I'm
Yeah.
going to be very transparent about it, and just it's I struggle with like my identity a lot of times, and just like I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out about me as a person
Mhm.
and like my life. And it's comforting to know that there are so many people in my corner, like a lot more than I thought ever thought was possible.
Yeah.
And it's it, and I can express myself outwardly in like this VTuber form where they don't have to see my face to like be latched onto. They're not latched onto me as like, because there are often times in like real life where people have like kind of attached themselves to me, and they've kind of stuck around not just because of me as a person, like not they're not interested in the conversations we've had, but rather they were interested in something more physical
Yeah.
and not like in that sort of intellectual, like, emotional
Mhm.
connection. And I don't know, it's just it's nice to see though that people do enjoy me for like like other facets of myself
Yeah.
rather than the physical stuff, you know?
Yeah, I strongly like relate to you on that because I definitely have like the low esteem when I started streaming, and it took me a while to really build confidence. But I think that is like one of the like good things that like came out of streaming was just building that confidence and seeing how many people actually liked me for me without seeing my face for a long time, and
Yeah,
I.
you're so lovely. Mwah.
That make me sob. But so I really do relate to you when you say that, and I think we're very similar in the way that we like with just talking. I think we're so similar in how we view stuff and how we view streaming.
Mhm,
I would say,
mhm.
and I
My
think that we
goodness,
can.
I love you so much.
And but yeah, so I'd say I think I have a question later on in here about like what's one of the good things about streaming that's like or has come
Aw.
from streaming. I think that we can both kind of agree with that that's one of the like definitely the positives out of streaming. I know we harped a lot on the
Mhm.
negative of streaming, but
Yeah.
streaming is
The
good. There is a lot of love. To
It's fun,
clarify,
it's
it
fun,
is
I
fun.
promise.
It is fun.
It's like, yeah, no, there's so much negativity, but like there's also so much positives to it,
Yeah,
especially if you like consider not just like like if you take away from like the kind of like quote unquote clout you might get,
yeah.
I think it's like a means of connection with people
Mhm.
like that you normally wouldn't interact with. Like it's outside of like forums and games. It's like people to connect with personally, you know?
Yeah,
Um, or not even like personally, because some people might take it a little too parasocially.
yeah,
I think it's like a like sort of shared community in like minded people, I think is what it is
yeah,
rather.
yeah. I
You
agree.
know?
Yeah, it just opens up a connection that's like not. There's kind of a social aspect to it for sure, but I think it's more just like a more open and communicate way to communicate. That like it's not really possible in many other facets of life. I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like it's this like sort of weird in between of like meeting like people online and then like also sharing like certain aspects of yourself of
Yeah.
like outside of like pictures and posts. Like there's like streaming your live, and
Mhm.
like there's only so much you can filter out. There's only so
Yeah.
much you can kind of like
Yeah.
I guess like not necessarily hide, but like kind of like,
Keep
smooth over
separate.
and
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, there's a reason why scuff is part of, like, the streamer lifestyle
Mhm.
in general.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can kind of, like, like, smooth away, make perfect. And then, like, it still shows, like, they're like, the person underneath, like, the person
Yeah.
of, like, who they are, and then, like, of course, that could also be a persona, but, like, I like to think that most people who do stream are, like, very, like, honest about themselves,
Yeah.
whether they are aware of it or not, you know?
Yeah,
There's, like,
there
some
is some
sort of
truth
truth to
to
it.
who they are, even if they're playing that character.
Mhm.
It's gonna be some like facet of themselves or of their character.
Yeah, because it's, like it's hard for most people to separate, like,
Yeah,
character
I know I
from
couldn't.
person. Yeah, like, I've tried it, and then it just didn't feel right.
Yeah,
Where it's like, because God Lord knows, I have tried, like not, like, too many things, but I've tried, like, a separate thing outside of, like, gaming, and it just didn't feel right. Because
yeah,
it just like maybe I had the voice for it, but it just didn't sit right with me. Like, because full context, before I ever met you, actually, I
Mhm.
tried story time streams. I
I
don't know
do
if you were
vaguely
there
remember
for
that. I vaguely
what?
remember, like, right I don't think we were talking too much. I think you were first, like, Luna introduced you to the group, and I
Mhm.
stuck around. I saw, like, a little bit, but I wasn't too
Yeah.
into the group yet, I would say.
Yeah, it's I think it was just me trying to find my identity at
Yeah.
first, and I thought it would be cool to be a storyteller, and then
Mhm.
that stopped real fast when I realized talking for 2 hours with very little breaks in between
Yeah, it's
sucks
kind of
ass.
hard.
Hey, this shit
Mhm.
that like I need water breaks. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm dying. My throat hurts. Like
Well,
every I was like, this is not sustainable.
yeah. Well, and I think that's what's also so cool about streaming is you can try different things. You can find different things that you enjoy doing. Like I tend to like
Mhm.
collabing or like hosting events where I get everyone together. I think that's something truly like special and something I really get a lot of enjoyment fulfillment out of doing.
Yeah, and I think you do it so well too. Just because, like, I've seen you host so many different events, and like, you bring so many people together, and there's something beautiful about that sort of ability that I sort of envy in a way. Just
Mhm.
because I'm so insular with myself. Like, I've grown like a very like bad habit of like if like I don't always interact with people. Like, I'm very bad at texting.
Yeah.
I'm much more of like a call type person,
Yeah.
and not everyone's into that. And it's just for me, it's difficult to kind of connect with others because I don't always text back. And it's not even necessarily because I don't want to talk to people, it's because I have like a difficult time like
Texting
texting and
is
keeping up
hard. I get it.
conversations.
Yeah.
And, like, I think people like, over time, people haven't really stuck around, and, like, it's so understandable, and, like, I still think about them all the time, and, like, people who have, like, been in the space, people outside of it, like,
Mhm.
IRL that I've, like, sort of unexpectedly ghosted, but
Yeah.
it's more so just because it's, like, I prefer that sort of, like, more visceral connection of, like, talking to someone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, it's like it feels more near and dear to me, like, even if we don't interact very much, if we can, like, have good conversations, like, at least once a month, I think
Yeah.
I highly value you as, like, a friend and as just a person in general. And it's it like, I don't know, I find it difficult to be that social, like,
Yeah.
the way I see you and, like, Luna, like, I kind of I have such a strong respect for, like, you, like, Geeksy, Luna, like, everyone in the circle who tends to be, like, so social and out there and, like, very willing to just, be, like be sort of like this sort of connective tissue that brings all
Mhm.
these people together. And like I want like I strive for it
Yeah.
sometimes, but it's difficult for me just because it's like,
No.
ugh, like I don't know.
It's so hard. No, I get that. I'm like I would say like Luna and Geeky are way more than I am because I get that. I'm much more of a caller. I leave so many people on red. It's bad.
Mhm.
Like
It's
I
horrible.
love having good I love yapping. I love being in a call to yap with people. So
Mhm.
it I love hosting. I love and hate like hosting things because I
Mhm.
love the results of it, but setting it up takes like I only do a couple big events a year because it just takes so much to do.
Yeah, so much planning, and like that's why I also have so much respect for like people who do events overall. Like, fucking the biggest thing that I can think of right now is like cyclothon, where it's like
Yeah.
I love it's just insane how much work goes into it, like the logistics of it. And even
Mhm.
then things can go wrong, but they have like that team. And
Yeah.
it's just for me as like someone who's very like again, I tend to isolate. I am
Yeah.
someone who is trying to be better with it. Some days are
Eh,
better, some days are worse.
yeah.
It's definitely gotten worse after the holidays just because it's
Dude, the
like I don't
holidays
know.
were
The
rough.
they were it's like some sort of burnout happened where it was like especially rough, like because it was there's such a stark difference from me when I first started streaming. Like those first few months, I was like you could not see me off the like off of Twitch. I was
Yeah.
on there and I was happy to do it. But then now I'm like coming back to it and like it feels off, but not in the way of like I don't enjoy like not well, I still enjoy talking with the people, but there's like this like sort of love has kind of dampened in a way to for
Yeah.
streaming where it's like I'm now trying to find my footing again after the holidays. The
Mhm.
burnout has kind of sort of like destroyed some of the passion that I had early on, and so it's
Yeah.
something that I'm trying to like figure out and navigate.
Yeah, burnout is a bitch. I can attest.
Mhm.
I've gone through where I streamed all the time and then had to take like breaks and stream like maybe once a week if that. So it's just really
Yeah.
finding that balance I think is tough to do.
Mhm. It's like how do you even begin to navigate it while also maintaining like a presence online? Because I felt it when I came back to streaming, and like I knew my energy wasn't there, and it kind of showed in like the way people kind of stuck around. I was
Yeah.
just kind of like very low energy. I just wasn't all there. Like everything
Mhm.
was scuffed, and like no, I people are used to like my form of scuff,
Yeah.
but it was like it was different just because I think people could feel that I wasn't all the way there,
Yeah.
and it kinda showed, and I like, there's a part of me that, like, hates the fact that I'm not all the way there yet, but I have to remember to be kind
Yeah, you have to
to
be
myself
kind to
about
yourself,
that.
and it that's
Yeah.
something that takes a while to figure out, and everyone processes burnout and like finding that like passion again differently to where like but I really just had to get myself like for me when I had burnout, like I just had to eventually take a break and then just slowly get back on and take it like step by step or like I find like a project or something that like really, drove me to like being here. So it's
Yeah,
really
it's
finding something that you like you what you want to do or like a specific even if it's not like a big project or like a game or something.
like, I think maybe that's why I'm, uh, thinking of doing like, hanging out with people a little bit more
Mhm.
again, because I think the most fun that I had while streaming is knowing that, like, I had people to bounce off of,
Yeah.
and, like, knowing that I could, let's just like I know I'm not like alone in with my thoughts in
Yeah.
a way, if that makes sense. It's just like so difficult sometimes when you're streaming by yourself, and like I have I usually tend to prefer streaming by myself actually.
Yeah.
I have a strong love for it just because it's like I can be more much more interactive with my chat. I can be
Mhm.
but like during the bad period of like self-doubt and stuff, it's
Yeah.
like I think it's like the worst for me where it's
Yeah.
like, I would much rather be around people than by myself, because then I'm not overthinking so much.
I
Because I
got
think
you.
I'm at my worst when I overthink.
No, I'm the same way. I overthink too much and I'm like, "Oh, nope, can't do it anymore."
Mhm,
But yeah,
mhm, and
I think strongly like that. Like like having people to rely on, like in a collab or some sort of setting where you don't really have a chance to overthink because someone's talking to you, or you can look at chat and kind of respond to chat. But I also do get those
mhm,
solo interactive chat streams that you were mentioning. 'Cause those are also important. So I think it's just finding that whole balance and trying to, I think finding what you want to do and really figure out what you enjoy the most at that particular day,
yeah,
rather it be like, oh, I just want to hang out with chat, or oh, I want to do like a collab.
mm, like, I think it's also just because part of me is like, how do I keep chat, like, entertained in a way? I think I've fallen into the sort of trap of, like, content
Content
brain
brained,
of
yeah.
yeah, and it's like I've sort of like that sort of love and like purity that I had at the start of like just streaming, just to have fun for it, has sort of like waned just because now I'm a little too far aware of like the numbers, the statistics,
Yeah.
and it's like sort of like,
I was gonna say,
tainted that love, if that makes
mm-hmm.
sense.
The best thing I can do is just like turn off the numbers. That's what I've had to do a
Mhm.
couple times too. Is just literally like turn off the view count, respond to chat, find some, I
Mhm.
try just to do it for the love of streaming and not so much for like, oh, people like this. Do it because you
Mhm.
like it. That's like the most important kind of advice to like just do it because you like doing it rather than what
Yeah.
everyone else wants. I think is
Mhm.
it's the hardest thing to do because you also, you want to please people. You want, and if you notice people stick
Mhm.
around doing this thing that you don't enjoy, but they're sticking around, it makes it hard not to want to switch to something you do enjoy.
Mhm.
But it's just,
Like,
yeah.
oh, go.
Oh, I was
Sorry.
gonna say it's just putting yourself first, I think, is most important.
Yeah, I think I saw a bit of that and like even when I was like having fun like talking with chat and like
Mhm.
that was honestly like the highlights of my week. I found myself kind of like also dreading streaming when it was like October and like spooky month.
Mhm.
Um I'm someone who loves horror as a genre like like a media genre but like and watching it but not
Yeah.
playing it if that
And I'm
makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love
Mm,
the horror stories and stuff, but actually like playing the games is something I get so scared. I get
yeah.
like your fear of FPSs. That's my fear in anything
Mhm.
scary. I can't It takes so
Yeah.
much for me to do. I'm finally kind of starting to get over it with Resident Evil now that I'm forcing myself to play the games because I do love the stories of it, but playing the
Mhm.
games I was always like
Yeah, I think it's like a whole different beast. Being in the perspective of the protagonist,
yeah,
having to be the one to experience it rather than being the outsider is what it is.
yeah,
It's so much easier to be like, oh, I love horror, but then it's so much more different when the
yeah.
events are happening to you,
Mhm.
and then it's just like I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
And it just I had that experience of like kind of loving and hating streaming like very strongly during October because
mhm.
people wanted to watch me play horror games. Particularly Mortuary Assistant and
Yeah.
what's it called? Alien Isolation. I got thrown into the fire with Alien Isolation.
Oh.
I will not lie. Because I made the mistake of having chat choose which game
Oh
they
no.
wanted to see me play,
Mhm.
and I put Alien Isolation as a joke. It ended up not being a joke.
Yeah.
Um, and then uh basically I played it. People had fun watching me, but at the same time, I was starting to feel that sort of fatigue of like, I hate the stress that's accumulating in my body while
Yeah.
playing it. I don't like this feeling of like like I have a headache getting out of streams because I'm clenching my jaw too much. The idea of like having like to hold my screams in because I am living with family
Yeah.
and so I can't like scream my lungs out and feel that sort of relief,
Yeah.
and it's almost like the building of the tension is almost worse than like
Mhm.
like the gameplay because at some point I did start to feel a little more desensitized, but it was at the expense of me as a person, me as like
Yeah.
like in terms of my mental health, and I wasn't necessarily enjoying streams at that point, and that's a huge reason why I also stopped Alien Isolation series that I was
Yeah.
playing. Like I was gonna turn it into like a big series of like VODs where like that's also where I started like doing thumbnails and stuff,
Yeah.
and I was trying to be a little more consistent. But and I did get a fair amount of views for those, like at least for someone of my
Yeah.
size. But
Mhm.
like it was something that I just wasn't enjoying anymore. It was like at that point I was doing it because people wanted me to, but not because I
Do you
wanted
want
to.
Yeah. And that's something that's so
And
important. And I've definitely done that to myself before I've fallen in that trap.
mhm,
Um,
and
it's
it's so
tough.
painful.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it's like people like I think it's funny that people like hearing me scream. They're like, "You're so relaxing." And then they just have me screaming in the
Screaming,
background.
exact yeah. I've
It's
had
just
that too where I'm like, I'm yapping, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, and then people are like, "Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, like I fall asleep to your streams, your screams." I'm like, "How? It's not relaxing for
Yeah.
me. I'm going through it."
Yeah, and like you're so I guess like I guess my screams are ASMR for them
Yeah.
or something. I don't fucking know. It's just the
Dude,
fucking weirdest
you
thing.
post ASMR screaming videos? Like whisper screaming?
Mhm. You gotta pay me first, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you gotta pay me to
Mhm.
scream. Like, it's just but I genuinely I think like it's hard to strike that balance.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if your community is like they have that kind of love for you, they'll understand.
Yeah.
And I think most people understood when I stopped. Like they never questioned it and they kind of like it's like it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that like it's hard to like think, but it's like people are around. People are around for you. They can tell when you're not happy. Just do what if you have to stop something and that was like your big thing. It's okay. It's okay just to to do what's best for you. when it comes to streaming. That's something that's
Yeah.
so important to keep in mind.
Mhm. It's just yeah, I gotta it's like I gotta remember that like not everyone is as self-critical as I am.
Yeah, that
It's
too. You're your biggest critic.
mhm. So it's like I like people are not gonna judge me nearly as much as I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like maybe every once in a while you might get those people, but it's very few and far in between,
Yeah.
if at all, usually.
Mhm.
But like yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, I'm just gonna try to see like what I like so far, and sometimes that's just gonna shift.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
and I mean, as you grow as a person, the things you like will change. Things will shift naturally. And there's
Mm,
always like people that are like, "But I liked when you did this," you know. Like I know like bigger creators like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, they're like, they get the comments of like, "Oh, I liked like I miss 2015 Mark," but it's like, well, that's 10 years ago. They're a whole different
that's a
person.
whole different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's something to
It's
also
like
keep in mind, especially like if people are like, "Well, I liked when you did this back then." It's like,
mhm,
well, I
yeah.
didn't. I don't like that now. Or.
Mhm. Like, you're thinking of a whole other, like,
A whole other life.
perspective, like yeah, it's just things shift and change, and a lot can happen in, like, even a year, and
Yeah.
much less, like, 10 years, so it's like, you gotta like, that's also why I try not to get too attached to, like, the people that I'm, like,
Mhm.
that I consume content from, where it's like, I consume their content, but I don't expect too much from, like I don't learn about the people IRL, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't learn too much about it because it's like if I start to care a little too much, then I feel like I might start
Yeah.
drawing too much attachments and expectations onto them when it's
You
not
get that
fair.
parasocialism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair to the person, it's not fair to,
Mhm.
like, who like, and I don't want that on me, so why
Yeah.
should I expect that on someone else, you know?
That's fair, yeah. I'm
Mhm.
kind of similar, but I like learning about a person. But I'm also I think I'm more open, like, oh, people are gonna change, you know? Like they're not gonna
Mhm.
be like if I might have enjoyed their content in the past and I'm not enjoying what they're doing now, but they're doing what they enjoy. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's like I
Mhm.
really am there just for like the person, I think. Or like trying not to like attach too much to like old or, just being there to be supportive, I think. And keeping that healthy
Mhm.
boundary is important.
Makes sense, yeah, I get it. That's
Mhm.
similar to me too. I think potentially just because it's like you can't help but feel attached to the
Yeah.
people you eventually start consuming content for, like, you kind of feel that sort of attachment
You
coming,
get an
but
attachment, even if you try not to,
mhm,
I think, over time.
yeah, but it's good to, like, always be mindful of it, I think,
Yeah.
just so you're
As long
not,
as you're
like, falling into
aware.
that trap.
Exactly.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm, mhm.
I was gonna say we did talk about how long. You said you started streaming about 6 months ago.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
I was gonna say it's you, seeing you grow as a content creator and hearing your perspective just within 6 months. It's insane, you know.
Is
So
it?
I
I
think so. Like I don't know. For me, I feel like it. I think I kind of also got. I don't know. I feel like it's your mindset's very similar, I guess, just to how mine is now currently, and I've been doing it a little bit longer. To where I'm like, I feel like I just did not know this within my 6 months. But when
mm,
I how do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 25.
You're 25. Okay, you're a little bit older. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I started streaming when I was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Well, it's 3 years now because it's
Yeah.
2026, and I'm
Mhm.
going. I was like 19, 20, I think when I said. I think I was also just in a different mindset at in that age and that starting
Yeah.
streaming too. So I think
Mhm.
so. I don't know. I think it took me a
Yeah.
while to get to this kind of perspective.
I think it's also different circumstances too,
That's
like,
true.
uh,
Hmm.
I am, like, a bit of an like, at a stage of my life where I have cut out, like, the more toxic aspects of, like, friend groups and stuff,
Yeah.
like, I've grown a little bit more, and, like, of course, I'm still feeling like a child in an adult's body sometimes, but I'm
Hmm.
feeling a bit more of my age now, like I'm talking like I'm a fucking 30-year-old, but like I'm just um it's like I've had the time to grow and sort of like
Yeah.
have that sort of nuanced perspective that I might not have had when I was like in my early 20s, let's just
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
And I also like my circumstances as a VTuber were much more different than perhaps maybe you or like anyone
Yeah.
else who was like longer within the space because I was more than fortunate enough to have like Luna's help. I had
Yeah.
like people like she introduced me very early on to like the group. She introduced me to like how to do stuff, like where
Yeah.
like what where to find like resources to make things like more affordable for me as like someone who doesn't have the money to do something
Mhm.
more custom, like a custom model, like custom overlays and stuff. Like how like where to navigate and then eventually taking that like sort of advice, like the help that I got, and then,
Yeah.
um, just sort of pushing myself to, like, do research on my own, I eventually found my own footing, but
Yeah.
of course, it wouldn't have been possible, like, to reach this sort of, like, level, I suppose, if like, I don't know if this is, like, a decent level or not, but,
Yeah.
like,
I would say
um
so.
thanks. I just, because I couldn't even have imagined, like, I would have even reached 100, let alone, like,
Yeah.
300 something now, I suppose?
I was gonna say
It's
you've
still
been
weird for me
growing.
to think.
I know. The number's always weird.
It's a little weird because like, I never had, even thought, like, I would even reach 100 people, but the fact
Mhm.
that like, 300 people have seen me is insane.
Yeah.
Um And it's just I feel so fortunate that like I had gotten so much help along the way. You'd helped me a lot. You like Geeksy has helped me a lot. Like everyone who I've met like has given me some
Yeah.
sort of like help, sort of like motivation to like that drive to kind of like shape myself into who I am as like a streamer, as a VTuber, like the
Yeah.
experiences you guys have given me, what I've seen. It's like it's all something that I feel so immensely grateful for and, like, something I don't think I will ever be, like, I can't ever think that's like, "Oh, like, I'm not doing much." It's like, I couldn't have gotten here without all of this. Like, it wouldn't have
Yeah.
been possible, I feel. Because like, if I had started this from scratch without the help at all, I feel like I would have done so many mistakes. Like, I've met so many people who do start into streaming and like, they see me, they think I'm more professional, but that's just because I had, like, the resources and
Yeah.
help like the knowledge, the wherewithal from like people who have been in the space far
Mhm.
longer than I have. And it's like important to like remember and acknowledge that just because it's like yeah, like people sometimes aren't aware of like the stuff that's out there. Like there are free assets you can use. You
Yeah.
don't have to go straight into a custom model. There's like now the space, like the market is like much more saturated with like customizable models now, like that you can use.
Yeah.
Even with like male models now too.
Mhm.
That's like before it used to be much more niche.
Yeah.
And I feel incredibly lucky that like there are even like so many tutorials now, whereas like a few years ago, this they probably wouldn't have even
Yeah.
existed. And so it's like I I will never like that. Those are things where I have to like people need to remember I wouldn't have gotten to this point without all of that help. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's probably just what the difference is too. When I think back to like when I started and at my 6 month point, it was a very much like a because in 2023 it was like it's just a much different time. I had a much different friend group that was it was good, but there were some issues for sure. And I also had my issues. I feel like I was a lot more. I was a very young adult teenager, 1920. So
Mhm.
I made a lot of mistakes, and I'd say I was much more angry.
I mean, like, sometimes at that stage, especially because it was also 2023 is, like, not, like, a year after COVID, like,
Yeah,
it's
like COVID was
understandable.
still so I made a lot more mistakes, and I was a lot more of a toxic person, which I do regret a lot of stuff from back
Mm,
then. But I was like, yeah, I just didn't have like the looking back. I'm like, oh, that is a completely different person. So like the
mm,
growth and stuff that just comes over time, and like seeing that you had all of the resources and help, and also just I think older getting into it too.
Mm,
Yeah.
like the age thing, and but even then, like some people, I think, even those who are older than me, do not have this sort of
Yeah.
mindset. I think openness is what it is as
Mhm.
well. The openness to kind of learn, to grow,
Yeah. I think
um,
that was
plays a
also
huge
some
factor.
yeah, that's also some issues with some people I looked up to. Was not as mature as they would should have been for their age.
Ooh.
So I was like, "Oh, okay." Which is okay. It happens. People grow over time. Everyone grows at different. I'm no hate, no shade. To clarify,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that just happens. Everyone's different. Everyone's human. I want to make
Okay,
it
it's
clear,
okay if you
no
want to
hate.
throw a little shade.
No, I feel so bad. I feel bad when I throw a little bit of shade because I'm like, I don't actually
Mm,
mean it. And I do wish those
hmm.
people love and respect genuine. Like I have no hate in my heart for like my past like relationships that didn't turn out right. Like I don't hold grudges. And maybe I should. Some people say I should hold grudges, but I'm like I just if life's too short to be too like unhappy or holding on to things like that.
Hmm. I do also think there's room for that sort of feeling that
Yeah.
some people like more often than not we're seeing like a time where people are like you got to forgive all the time. But I think for people forget that forgiveness is not for the other person but for yourself. You have to be in the right headspace to forgive someone.
Yeah.
Um and so it's like it's a means of letting go of that sort of
Mhm.
feeling.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's, like, okay to hold on to it a little bit, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I know that might sound toxic for me to
No,
say, but,
I do
like,
get that.
it's like the feeling of processing what you're
Mhm.
feeling. It's the feeling of needing to know what this feeling is and, like, being able to, like, acknowledge, like, I was hurt at the time.
Yeah.
I was, like, a completely different person. I did like, you know, what was what was done to me was fucked up, what I did was fucked up,
Yeah.
but, like, you also need to acknowledge and balance it out with, I don't need to hold on to it anymore. It doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
So it's good to like it's a nice balance of like, I don't need to hold on to it, but I do it's good to acknowledge, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good mindset to look at it from. And that's kind of like how I look at it. I also just feel like I don't know. I very much detach myself. I do like I detach and associate from like past situations, which probably isn't good and healthy, but I
Mhm.
think it's just the way my brain processes trauma is it just wants to
Mhm.
detach from it to where
Yeah.
I am just much more probably forgiving and than I should be.
No, I think it's like beautiful to be kind in a world that isn't, suited for that sort of
Yeah.
energy. And like don't think of it as like something that's bad or anything. I think there's often a stigma of like letting go and like being the bigger person because it's
Yeah.
like people want to be petty. It's so much easier to be petty.
I
Um
I've done some few petty things in my time. It is a
yeah.
lot easier to be petty.
Mhm. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's just like whatever suits you, whatever feels better, but understand that all of this does have a consequence on
Yeah.
like who you will be, like how you'll react to situations and like of course you're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
There's always room for mistakes, there's always room to grow. But understand that there's going to be consequences on what you do, what you're like how you
Yeah.
take the situation and like spin it. Because some people will not have that grace, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But how they react when things go wrong and stuff, it's like
Yeah.
that's where you fucked up.
Mhm.
But I think you've taken the strides, and I think it's beautiful to see. Like honestly, like you're younger than me, and I feel you have a level of maturity that is like not seen often in people your age, which is nice, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely
Mhm.
I think yeah, it just takes a while. It takes mistakes and growing, I
Yeah,
think.
and like it's okay if you make the mistakes too, if you don't always feel like you can be mature. Sometimes, it's not that satisfying to be mature either. It's like
No.
take that time. Just, you're human. You're gonna
Yeah,
fuck up, you're gonna do
yeah.
shit, so whatever.
I
Don't
appreciate
take it too
that.
seriously.
I do I feel like I did need to hear that. But I'm
Aw,
just like, "Aw,
yeah.
I
No,
appreciate
I
you."
got you. Of course. Just as you got me, I always got you. Like, you know this. And
Aw.
like I and sometimes people do need that reminder of like it's not bad to be making mistakes. It's not
Yeah.
to be
I think that's
like
what's crucial. It's just it's not bad to
mhm.
make mistakes, 'cause I think I forget that, like, "Oh, I fucked up, it's the end of the world."
Yeah, and, like, hey, listen, I am similar in that aspect where I feel like, the world's ending if I make a
Yeah.
mistake, it sucks ass, like, yesterday, for example, like, the most recent example, I
Mhm.
felt like such a failure just because like, my PC just was not fucking
Yeah.
cooperating, and I know there's just, like, some things I could not control. Like, I could
Mhm.
not control the fact that, like, that happened, like, it already happened. It still sucks, that
Yeah.
feeling that I've made those mistakes, but it's like,
Mhm.
it's at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter in the like, the grand scheme of things, and
Yeah.
just it's something, like, you can have that feeling, but understand that it's not something that will define you.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's just something that I try to remind myself and remind, like, people that I love and, like, care about, because it's so like, it's too you're like, you have so much to live for, there's so much in life that's beautiful, and to fixate on the mistakes you've made
Yeah.
is something that will ultimately, hinder you. It's something that will make you feel like you're stuck in place. And it's always easier to think negatively, but like when you try to think positively, it's like, it does make a world of difference. Like
Yeah.
even if it is like a baby step, it's still a step, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree. That's a good way to look at it, and I need to try to focus more on that for sure. I've especially
Mhm.
I definitely feel that, and lately I've been feeling that a lot with like it's such a small thing like driving, because I've been learning how to drive, because it's always been like
Mhm.
I hate driving. So I've
Mhm.
been trying, but I need to get my license. So I've been like driving now, like see myself make a little mistake. And I'm like, ah, it's the end of the world. Like that could have been really bad, but it wasn't. It's
Yeah.
fine. But
Mhm.
I like really fixate on that, and that's been like
Mhm.
really like it shouldn't affect my mood, but it does.
Mhm. Nah, like, trust, it's so much easier to say that than doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
It,
I will give, like, the most bomb ass advice sometimes to people,
mhm.
but I can't follow it. Just because
Yeah.
it's, like, it's so much
It's
easier to say
hard.
it, and practicing it is, like, a whole different ball game.
Mhm.
And so, it's just, like, something you have to, like, actively strive for, otherwise, it's
Yeah.
like, if you're saying it, then you're not doing it, like, what's the point, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm glad I was able to help you feel a little better.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no. That does help me a lot. I
Mhm.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. Always gotcha.
yeah. I was going to ask, moving on back to the questions. We always
Mm.
do this every podcast. We get a little off topic. But I could say, is there like a particular goal you have with streaming, and then is there like an end goal that you think
Mm.
like you've made it, or like, oh, I can stop if I've done this, or you just kind you, I feel like we kind of have been talking. It just seems like you're doing it as you enjoy it. But do you have like any goals you want to do?
I wanna try to, like, step outside of just, like, gaming, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I really wanna reconnect with that sort of creative spirit that I had,
Mhm.
like, when I was younger. Like, I think part of it is, like, wish fulfillment for my younger self,
Yeah.
like, to kind of heal from that sort of trauma of, like, really pushing down my, like, sort of
Mhm.
aspirations. And so, like, I really wanna try doing something creatively, like, I've always had a love for photography, so I wanna get back into that. Maybe perhaps, like, you do it in, like a different medium of sorts, like,
Yeah.
I've done, like, video game photography, so there's that. But, like, aside from that, writing, which I'm fulfilling within, like, VTubing, my
Yeah.
lore. And then, actually, this is something that I had, like, briefly entertained with my chat and, like, just something that I had talked about, but I like, I feel comfortable sharing it with you, even if it's, like, on the pod and
Okay.
stuff, it's
I
alright.
could say we can
But,
cut it if you want.
no, it's okay, it's, like, something that I don't want people to get their hopes up on, but
I
it's
see. Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that I want like kind of express, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, it's just I've always thought of like maybe trying VA stuff.
Oh, VA's so cool. Yeah, you would definitely be good at it too. I can see it. Mhm.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence in my voice, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Um, I tend to stumble. I have a very bad habit of saying like, ums, uh,
No, I get
that
that.
one.
I get that. No, I get you.
It's just it's something that I wanna just try at least once, because I have a lot of
Mhm.
VA friends, actually. People who are either, like, within, like, actual, like, official VAs, like, they've done, like, official
Yeah.
projects, or they're doing, like, they're ASMR artists,
Mhm.
I wanna try stepping into that space and, like, doing something I'm a little scared of. Like,
Yeah.
it combines, like, the editing aspect, which I have 0 experience in. I I
Editing's my
I
worst
cannot edit.
nightmare.
It's so fun, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, much less
Mhm.
doing, like, audio stuff, but thankfully I'm getting help with it. Um, but, like, trying to, like, step outside of, like, that sort of discomfort that I have with it, because outside of having to listen to my own voice, I have had a couple of times where I've, like, wondered if I should try it just because I've been scared of, like, the reactions I get sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's ranged from, like, people, like, who are very nice about it, who are like, "Oh, I think your voice is soothing. I think you have a very, like, nice,
Yeah.
like, pleasant voice." It's like, you get and then it ranges to kind of, like, the weirder ones where it's like they view it as, like, something, like, more sexual, and
Ah.
I think that's the part that I've grappled with the most, where
Yeah.
it's like, I don't wanna do it, like, that's the thing that's, like, stopping me, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, because I've had a couple incidents in the past where it's like, people have sort of, like, latched onto my voice into something that is very not safe for work.
Yeah. Not cool.
Not cool. It's like it's kind of jarring to feel that, where it's like I'm not trying to do anything, but people will turn it into something
Yeah.
almost disgusting.
Mhm.
If it's like that's the right way a term to
Yeah.
say. Um and I'm trying to like kind of not let that fear like scare me away into doing something that I want to
Yeah.
try. But it's difficult. Like there's
It
like I don't know if you remember, but I used to have like this mommy voice redeem as like a sort of
yeah.
joke, right?
Mhm.
Um, but
Oh,
then people
no.
started abusing it to
Yeah.
the point where like even like with friends and stuff, like I love them. I know they meant well. They were just doing it as like jokes. But then people started clipping it, and that was like the only thing people would see. That like
Yeah.
it became I started to get pigeonholed into that, and like every stream I would have to do it. um, and it is partially my fault. I didn't establish the boundary, until much later, until it got, like, to a point where it did get worse, and it did turn into, like, an incident that mentally affected me, like, in a
Yeah.
bad like, it was really, really, like, something that stressed me out. Um,
Mhm.
but it was something that, like, I wasn't expecting to happen so early on
Yeah.
in, like, my streaming career, I suppose. Just because it's, like, how do you, like how do you kind
Establishing
of, like
boundaries is, like, the hardest thing I'd say about streaming.
mhm, and, like, I I kind of wasn't expecting that, like, that would be the only thing people would know me as, like, because
Yeah.
whenever I would raid, sometimes you get, like, the auto clip generators, and they would
Yeah.
the
I
most
hate
of the
those,
things
by
that
the
would
way.
come up I do too. I will not lie, I have some friends that I love that do use that. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Um, but like, it gotten to a point where those were the only clips that people were taking. It was no
Mhm.
longer like, there was no gameplay stuff that was being made. It was people, like, clipping my, like,
Yeah.
mommy voice redeems, and, like, it was, like, so kind of, like, it was just uncomfortable in a
Mhm.
sense
Yeah.
to be like, "Oh, I promise that's, like, not all I'm doing,"
Yeah.
you know? It was meant to be a joke, and then it turned into something a little more,
Not what you
serious,
wanted.
I
Yeah.
suppose. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it sucked because I didn't wanna be pigeonholed into that. I wanted to be someone more, like, comforting rather than, like, you know
Yeah.
hey, listen, I will be sus. I am, there are times where I do have my sus moments.
Mhm.
I give it I kind of play into the sort of, like, I will fucking step on you type shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. It's funny. Um, but I think it's not something that I want to be linked to
No.
me entirely. It's not something
And
that
that's
I
a
want
boundary
to
for
be the only thing
you.
known about.
That like
Mhm.
that's something, yeah. I completely get that. And that's something I've also like struggled with too, is like doing like anything. Like I make my sus jokes, you know. I make those sus things, but I like, you know, I do not want to like be seen as like, oh, someone that's like I personally, for me, I know everyone's different. I appreciate the VTubers that are able to do like sex work and all of that. Like they,
Mhm.
props to them, because I personally could not. But like
Mhm.
it's hard, especially when it's something like that where it gets taken just a little. It takes one person just to take a sexual joke or something a little too far, even if it's like if a
Mhm.
friend's doing it or like chat's doing it, and they mean the bestest of intentions, but it's
Yeah. And it's like I think for me it was just difficult because I my original intention was just to be like jokey
it's just to
about
be a
it.
silly
Just
thing.
like it would be silly. It wouldn't be something that I redeemed enough because it was like it was fairly expensive. It wasn't something that like people would use very
Yeah.
often just because like all the other cutesy stuff was there.
Hmm.
But then it got turned into something, something that, you know,
It just
didn't
got
fit with who I
twisted.
was.
Yeah, it just didn't align with who
Mhm.
you were. Then
Yeah, and I wasn't enjoyable. Like maybe in the future I might lean back into it just when I'm finally more comfortable within myself as a
yeah,
person. Like my voice I'm not like so insecure about and like, I'm a little bit more comfortable setting the boundaries. Um but for
yeah.
now I think I'm going to stick with like, what I'm the
What you're
comforting
comfortable
side.
with and like what you want to try out and make it. You know, you should definitely. I think you should try out VA, and you shouldn't let those people that are like twisting it to be something that it's not. You know, because you know yourself and you know like what you want to do. I think that's so
Hmm.
important with your do what you find enjoyment out of, just to bring it back to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, like I do appreciate that. And like I have so many friends who have like encouraged me like that it's okay. Like it is just something that's going to unfortunately happen and
Yeah.
like as like especially cuz like femme presenting like
Mhm.
for the like anyone like who is
In
a
the
woman
online
femme.
space,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like something that'll naturally happen over the course of time, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Something that I will need to like understand that this is something that will occur, that I'm not like going to be able to fully escape it, but
Yeah.
I will be better at coping with it.
Yeah.
And coping with it just starts with like setting the boundaries for it,
Mhm. And
and
if they
which
don't
I have
respect
gotten a
it,
lot better
go
for.
away. You know?
Mhm. Like, I even have a set of my rules, and, like, my mods have gotten to a point where they do feel much more protective of me in that
Yeah.
aspect, because like, they see me as, like, because 'cause I'm friends with, like, almost all my mods and stuff, like,
Mhm.
and they do feel that sort of like, I like, they have seen the discomfort that I experienced during, like, a certain instance that happened
Yeah.
where, like, people, like, overstep their boundaries, like, someone, like, like, some people were, like, far too sexual on stream with me,
Yeah.
and it was, like, overall, like, it taught me that I do need to be more assertive with myself as a
Mhm.
person, like, who I like, my boundaries, it's not a bad thing either,
Yeah.
and just overall, I, like if I'm going to thrive in this space, if I'm going to be staying within it for a long time, I need to know that like I need to understand that it's not a bad thing to assert and take up the space that I need.
Mhm.
So long as I'm being respectful of others, it's like
Yeah.
I will like it is not a bad thing to
Yeah.
be, taking up that space.
Exactly, yeah. Asserting boundaries and taking the space you need is one of the hardest but most crucial things I think is needed is with streaming, especially as like femme presenting and stuff, just because people people like see an inch and they run a mile with it. It's so
Mhm.
easily and so much more with women in the space, which is not how it
Mhm.
should be, but unfortunately just is the case.
Like, I just remember talking with some of my, like, some of the guy streamers that I talk with, like,
Yeah.
that I'm homies with, and they often They often apologize to me about that sort of thing. Like they hate hearing my experiences about it, but it's
Mhm.
like I know that it's not the majority. It's just
Yeah.
those
Like
few
the
people who are
loud
like,
few.
mhm. Like, and I know sometimes it's like those individuals may not always understand that it's like they might be joking, but it's like something that they've taken too far. Like
Mhm.
they hadn't considered like, oh, I like, I don't know them like that. Like people like because there is that sort of like level of comfort people seem to
Yeah.
find with me where they think that it is like much easier for me to take like jokes and stuff just because I
Mhm.
like, I'm so chill. Like
Yeah.
they see me as like someone friendly and comfortable, but at the end of the day it's like I like I like to try to establish and remind my viewers sometimes that I am not someone who you know personally.
Yeah.
I don't know you personally and nor do you know me personally, and I would
Mhm.
like you to respect that I am a person still
Yeah.
behind like the VTuber behind this character. And that your words do have weight,
Yeah.
and you like your jokes, you might see it as a joke, but I might not see it. And you have to understand that you have to be okay with me not being okay. And if that's something you don't like
Yeah.
about me, that I might not take your joke as well as you might have thought I would, like my space might not just be right for you. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna kick you out or anything unless you take it too far. But you're gonna have to understand that like if you're going to be in my community, you're gonna have to abide by my rules. You're gonna have to abide by what's comfortable for me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's so yeah, it's so important. I've gotten that too, where some because especially because my persona is like, oh, I'm the witch of love, hee hee ha ha, flirt flirt. I'll once in a
mhm.
while make a flirt joke too, and then it's like, oh, I think you guys might be taking this seriously. Like,
Mm.
let's take a step back here.
Let's take a chill pill and
Yeah,
kind
I
of sort out what's going on.
I do have a partner. I do I as much as I am flirting or I make a little sexual joke now and then, you know.
Mhm. It's not like personal or
Yeah, it's
anything.
not. It's, yeah, I think that's
So,
something very
mhm.
important just to keep in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, and like, sometimes you do get those people who do not understand the social
Mhm.
cues at all
Yeah.
and like might need something more straightforward, but at the end of the day, it's like if you've been warned multiple times and you still do it,
Yeah.
you're getting banned.
Ban hammer's coming.
The ban hammer is coming. Better run.
Mhm. All right. I do want to ask because we did talk briefly about customizable VTuber models. I know you're using the Prism model right
Yes.
now. How has
Mhm.
your experience with using them been? Are there pros, cons? And then do you also plan on getting a custom or just sticking with the customizable ones?
So I've been like really enjoying the customizables.
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing about them is that they come pre-rigged and they're fairly cheap.
Yeah.
And they have like a lot of different assets, like especially the ones that are like very recent in the market. They're much more customizable and like there's so many more options than like what we had before, like where Suika was like the cutting edge at the
Mhm.
time. Like they're currently kind of have competitors such as like the Suica model.
Mhm.
You had the Maybe model, like the May GB, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
Um and it's like you have so many different ways to like show yourself off. There's like even those that like who don't want like the sort of anime kind of look.
Mhm.
They have like the sort of scribbled look. I know there's this model that looks like it's been painted with like
Yes.
black and white watercolor, and I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah, Kyoko
Um
Studios. I was looking at that
mhm.
model for such a long time. I was looking at getting a custom one of those, but I was like, I don't. So
Yeah. I
expensive.
think it's they're so expensive, but it's like I think it's like the beauty of like having it being able to be entry level and
Mhm.
like being able to express yourself in some
Yeah.
way, versus like having to like shell out so much money just to get something custom.
Mhm.
The downside of it is, of course, you're not gonna get like the full vision of what you want. So it's
Yeah.
like I won't have like the mushroom hat that I'm so well known for in my like design sheet. I won't have like certain things like my arm like in my like character sheet that like you can't see on this
Yeah.
model right now. My eye has like this black discoloration around like my purple left eye
Yeah.
that that like indicates that there's some sort of corruption happening. And like my left arm also showing like grayish purple veins to it. And like it you can't fully show that off just because it's like you're limited by what the rigging and like model artist have
Yeah.
done. It's just like you, of course you have to understand like it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be like exactly what you want like envisioned, but that's like the price of having something entry
Yeah.
level. It's not gonna be something completely custom. It's just gonna come close or somewhat decently close, but it's never gonna be the vision that you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because because at the end of the day, these are affordable, but they're affordable for a reason, you
Mhm.
know? And like we like I think it's just a really good way for people to kind of dip their toes in without having to fully commit.
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
Like, there's even cheaper ones than this one that are still customizable, not nearly to the level of, like, Prism, because Prism is a beast of a model all of its own. Like,
Yeah, I've been seeing
Suika.
so many different things with the Prism one. We talked about it a little bit before,
Mhm.
but I'm in love with the Prism
Yeah.
model.
Like, the Prism is just so much more customizable, but I think it's because it's taken the steps that, like, Suika
Yeah.
did. So Suika was, like, I think, the pioneer.
Yeah, I
If
mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong. Um, at the time, like, like, customizables weren't, like, fully, like, established as, like,
Yeah.
a sort of neat, like, thing in the market. And so with Suika, you were given that option to be, like, this pretty model that was already pre-rigged. You didn't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
Like maybe if like the mouth syncing wasn't right, you just had to install VBridger. That's it. It's
Yeah.
free. It's whatever. Um, and then you kind of just like customize it what you want, and then you can even take it a step further, and you can commission artists to actually make it into custom textures.
Yeah.
Because with all the assets, it all comes with textures, and they can edit, they can color it, of course, within the bounds of the model.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be completely perfect, but it's it'll be closer to the vision you want, and
Mhm.
that like of course it'll be a little more expensive, but it's going to be like a really nice way to see if this is like the kind of identity you want to keep as a VTuber. This
Yeah.
is like the kind of thing you want to stick with. Like it's also why I recommend like for anyone who I am like friends with that do want to experience VTubing, they want to go into streaming, that I recommend they do customizables before doing anything like fully
Yeah.
custom. 'Cause it's like this is like almost your testing phase of like what you wanna be, how your look to be. Cause my old look was not something that I kind of like anymore. It
Yeah.
was like much too red.
Mhm.
I was looking a little too Christmassy, and it just it didn't fit right for me as a like, aesthetic wise. I was
Yeah.
leaning too much into the mommy energy that like I'm not fully comfortable with quite yet.
Yeah.
Um and design wise it just wasn't my best. I feel so I design changes will happen, and your customizable